Straight ahead on Law and Crime Daily. Joining us today is Sean Sticks Larkin, retired Tulsa police sergeant and host of the podcast Cocktails, along with Terry Austin. Sean, back and forth from state to federal courts, what do you imagine transporting an officer convicted of murder like this is like?
It's going to be uncomfortable for the officers, the deputies, the marshals, everybody involved. I myself was involved in an arrest here in Tulsa several years ago where we actually had to arrest an officer on duty. And just that alone is so uncomfortable. Chauvin is, in a negative way, I guess, probably the most well-known police officer in the country, at least right now. And so for everybody involved in that transportation, they understand that they are going to be under scrutiny. They're going to be watched. It's going to be on the cameras. And it's just going through the motion for these guys.
Let's hope they're definitely safe and no one's targeting them there. Don't want that to happen, of course. Terry, Eric Nelson does know a lot about the case, but could it be better to have another pair of eyes on this case as we go to another step in the trial?
Listen, I would want someone who knows the case inside and out. But in a perfect world, a defendant would have someone who knows the case plus someone who has a fresh pair of eyes. But a right to a fair trial definitely does not include unlimited funding for representation.
Now, Anjanette, we do provide criminal defense for individuals if they can't afford it, myself being a public defender. But do you know how much defending a case like this could cost in federal court?
I asked around and say that Derek Chauvin had unlimited funds and he could pay for a lawyer. I talked to Jay Clark about this, for instance, and he said that this defense in federal court would cost at least six figures. He guessed that a retainer alone would be $250,000. And he said, well, think about it. Even if it was $100,000, that's still a lot of money for somebody to come up with. So it would be incredibly expensive, he said, just because of the amount of work that goes into it and the high profile nature of the case.
Yeah. That, of course, would be for someone to retain. If there was a defense attorney, maybe probably much less. I know that CJA or the federal panel pays about $150, $190, depending on if it's capital or non-capital. So we'll keep eyes on that. Now, don't go anywhere, Sean, because I know you have a new book coming out about your experience as a law enforcement officer. Breaking Blue tells real stories of cops accused of wrongdoing and subsequently cleared. Larkin even shares his own story. Breaking Blue will be released on June 15th and is available for pre-order now. Sticks, I've got to ask, let's get right to it. Tell us about when you were wrongfully accused.
Oh, well, unfortunately, there's several different incidents, some small in size, some much larger. But the one I focus on here in the book started in 2009. There was a federal investigation of the Tulsa Police Department for a couple different groups of officers. And this thing just, in my opinion, it steamrolled and got out of control. Pretty soon you had bad guys that were essentially being told by the FBI that was doing the investigation that, hey, if you've got information on dirty cops, we can help you out with we can help you out with your case. If they were already locked up, hey, we can get you out of jail. Then people started filing civil lawsuits, and it just started building up over a year time period. And there were a handful of different officers whose names got brought up. Some, in fact, did get arrested and go to trial. Luckily for myself, I did not. But I was labeled as what they call an unindicted co-conspirator. And something still to this day that if you Google my name, it occasionally pop up. And throughout my career, I've had to deal with that title and fighting it every step of the way in court.
Well, let me put it this way, Sean. I would say it's not unlucky or luck. It's innocence. It's obviously there's a reason why you weren't arrested for that. Now, in this collection of stories, is there one from someone else that stuck out to you even now as you think back on your book?
Yeah, absolutely. I was fortunate to talk with several different officers across the country, and these things range from a simple traffic stop to, a guy who spent time in prison for a murder he didn't commit. But one of them was a guy by the name of Clyde Ray Spencer. It actually took place in the 1980s. He was arrested and convicted for child molestation of his own kids when they were very, very little. And he spent a little over 20 years in prison. And over that time, it finally came out that his ex-wife was having a sexual affair with the supervisor over the investigating unit. DNA evidence, or what we call a SANE exam, a sexual assault exam, that was never turned in. It was held in a detective's garage for nearly 20 years and later magically appeared. That would have cleared him probably during trial. So this poor guy spent, I think it was a total like 21 years in prison for a crime he never committed.
Thank you for that, Sean. Make sure to check out Sean Larkin's book, which is available now for pre-order, but of course is coming out on June 15th. Still ahead on Law and Crime Daily, we take you inside the courtroom of 2 live trials we're following gavel to gavel. But first, a sneak peek into the latest show featuring defendants taking the stand, our interview with Dan Abrams after the break.